guys. I'm sorry for the delay. Some things got out of my control, so we're going to try to do our best to go ahead and get these things moving along and get videos up to you guys as soon as possible. So today we are going to be talking about Lesson 13. All right, Lesson 13 is pretty easy. All right, it's converting between fractions and decimals using equivalent fractions. Okay. So classwork example number 1, representations of rational numbers in the real world. Following the opening exercise in class discussion, describe why we need to know how to represent rational numbers in different ways. Okay, I'm not going to really write this one down. I need you to understand something. You're never going to see rational numbers in just one way. You're not going to see them just as 42 or 35 or 66. You're going to see percentages. You're going to see decimals. You're going to see fractions. We need to know how to convert because you're never going to see it just in one singular way. For example, when you go to when you go shopping, big giant sales on sale. Okay, big giant sale. All your clothes are 35% off. Okay, but we can't just go into the calculator and type 35% sometimes. Okay, we have to sit there and know exactly how to convert 35% into a decimal, so we know how to multiply. Okay, and then if we get some weird funky decimal, or we get a fraction, okay, half off, big giant half instead of 50%, okay, we need to know how to convert that fraction into a decimal so we know how to convert the decimal into a percent. So knowing that all these rational numbers can be represented in so many different ways helps us in order to prepare on how to convert them, okay? Now, all right, example number 2. Okay, keep on going up. All right, so example number 2. We're talking about terminating numbers, okay? So terminating decimals, all right? And I'm going to write it right here. So terminating. Whenever you see the word terminating, okay, terminating means ends. It stops. It does not continue, okay? These are decimals that will stop. They have a stopping point. They do not continue after a certain number. So, like, what is the value of 2.25, okay? Now, I want you to think of it as like dollars, okay? 2.25 is the same thing as $2.25, okay? That's the value of the number. It's 2 and 25, okay? $2.25. So how can this number be written as a fraction or a mixed number? Okay, now, fractions and mixed numbers are easy. When you've got a decimal, you quite literally read it as 2 and 25 100ths. Now, of course, we can simplify that to 2 and a quarter because we know 25 cents is 1 quarter. So 2 and a quarter, okay? Now, that's a mixed number. I can also write it as an improper fraction. If you remember, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. So 9/4. That is 3 different ways that I can write 2 and 25 hundredths, or $2.25, or $2 and a quarter, okay? These are all different ways that I can sit there and use, okay? And as you can see, Part B says rewrite the fraction in its simplest form. I just did that when I went to there, okay? It's simple. This stuff is not hard, okay? It all comes back to how you read the decimal. Because when you read the decimal, you're reading it as its fraction form. So, like, what's the value of 2.025? Okay, that is 2 and 25 what? 2 and 25 thousandths. So I would write it as that, 2 and 25 thousandths. Now, I can write that as a mixed number, or that is a mixed number. See, I've already done it. How can you write this number be written as a mixed number? 2 and 25 thousandths. Now it says it's asking me to rewrite the fraction in its simplest form, showing all the steps that I would use. Okay, so I don't need to simplify the 2. What I need to simplify is the 25 thousandths. Okay? Now both 25 and thousandths end in one special set of numbers, 5 and 0. Okay? And if a number ends in 5 or 0, it's divisible by 5. Okay, so I can divide both these numbers by 5. So I would divide 25 by 5 and divide 1,000 by 5. 25 divided by 5 gives me 5. 1,000 divided by 5 gives me 200. Am I simplified? No, I'm not, because I still got that 5 in the top of my numerator. So how do I get rid of that numerator? oh man, that's awesome. I can divide by 5 again. So I divide both of these by 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 200 divided by 5 is 40. 1/40th. So my simplified is 2 and 1/40. And boom. I've rewritten my fraction in its simplest form, showing all the steps. Okay? You got to know how to simplify fractions. Okay? You're not going to be able to make it through the rest of your math classes if you do not know how to simplify a fraction. All right? I'm telling you, this is important information to know. To simplify a fraction is just to know how to divide it. Okay? You want to divide it by its greatest common factor. Okay? A factor, if you remember, is a number that you multiply by another factor to get a product. Okay? So the greatest common factor is a number that I would multiply to get to 25. Okay? 5 times 5 is 25. Okay? So I could have divided the whole thing by 25, but there's no point to that. Okay? I don't want to force this. I don't want to rush this. All right? I want to take my time to find solutions. Okay, continuing on. All right. So I need to zoom in. Kind of straighten up a little. All right, so use place value to convert each terminating decimal to a fraction. Okay, now it's saying use place value, okay? What it's talking about is when you read the decimal, you're reading it with its place value. If you can identify the place value, then you could rewrite the decimal in a fraction form. So like this is, this is your tenths place, okay? This is your hundredths place, and this is your thousandths place. So tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this is 218 thousandths, okay? This is 218 thousandths. But now it says I have to rewrite each fraction in its simplest form. So I need to start looking for greatest common factors, okay? So I'm looking at 218 and 1,000, and the only number I can think of off the top of my head to start off with, greatest common factor, or a number that both 218 and 1,000 is divisible by, I'm going with 2. Okay, 218 divided by 2 gives me 109. 1,000 divided by 2 gives me 500. Okay, so now I need to sit here and I need to check some things out, okay? Is 109 divisible by 2? It does not end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, so it is not divisible by 2. Is it divisible by 3? Well, 9 plus 0 plus 1 is 10. 10 is not divisible by 3, so it cannot be divisible by 3. See, 4. 0 and 9, that's 9. 9 is not divisible by 4. It doesn't end in a 0 or 5, so 109 is not divisible by 5. Okay, let's see. Let's see, I'm looking 6. I don't see 8 working. I don't see 9 or 10 working, so I'm going to have to say this is the end. This is the most simplified version of 218 thousandths. Okay, I want you to do B for homework. I want you to do C for homework. I'm going to check these tomorrow, so be prepared. All right, so D, 0.005. Okay, well, we know this place right here is the thousandths place. So the next number after that has got to be the 10 thousandths place. So this is going to be written as 5 and 10 thousandths. Now I know both of these are divisible by 5 and 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10,000 divided by 5 is going to be 2,000. That is as simplified as I can go. Okay? All right. What are decimals? Okay? I want you to answer this for homework tonight. I want this in your own words. Tell me what you believe are decimals. All right? Okay. Now, let's work on writing some decimals. Okay. We are going to do B as classwork tomorrow because I want to see what you come up with in terms of what are definitions of decimals. So write the number 3/100ths as a decimal. Describe your process. So 3/100ths. Okay, think about it. Just as you read a decimal as a fraction, you can read a fraction as a decimal. It's the same process. Okay? This number is less than 1, so you're going to have a decimal 0.0. Why in the world am I already putting a 0 in the tens place? Because this does not read as 3/10. This reads as 3/100ths, or 3 pennies, 3 cents, 0 and 3/100ths. That's the way I'm thinking about it. 3/100ths is the same thing as saying 3 pennies out of 100. Okay, and 3 cents is represented like this. So that's 3 pennies, 3/100ths. Okay, write the number 3/20ths as a decimal. Okay, I don't have a decimal place that ends in 20ths. I have a decimal that ends in, or I have a decimal place that ends in tenths, but 3/10ths can't simplify. I have a decimal place that ends in 100ths, and I can make that fraction as a denominator of 100. So 3/20ths. Okay, what number can I multiply 20 by to get to 100? Correct, 5. So I can multiply both the numerator and denominator by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 20 times 5 is 100. So now 15/100ths. Just like I read this as 3/100ths, this is going to be read as 15/100ths. It takes me 15 cents out of 100 to get that. So 15 cents. When you walk into a grocery store, it costs 15 cents for a banana. Not really, but that's the basic principle. All right. Let's come up a little bit. All right. I want you to do E for homework. I want E for homework. We're going to discuss F for classwork. Okay? All right, convert each fraction to a decimal using an equivalent fraction. We're not going to do this here, okay? This is going to be classwork because I want to describe what we're doing in this. This is very difficult to do, and I want to be able to work together with you to get to this point. All right, problem sets, okay? I want you to do, for homework, I want you to do 1A, B, D, and I want you to do A in 2 and C. Okay, those are the 5 problems I want you to work for homework. We'll do the rest for classwork tomorrow. Okay, so be prepared. I need you to make sure you watch the video and be prepared. Okay, so that's going to be the end of the homework, our video for the night. Be prepared. Watch this video over and over again. Okay, make sure if you need to read this right here. Okay. It's got terminating decimal in it. It tells you a fraction whose denominator is ... Okay, it tells you everything you need to know in order to remember some of this stuff. Okay, so make sure you watch that. All right. One last thing. If you watch the video tonight, this is what I want you to do. In the comments section, I want you to write your name, and I want you to write your favorite color. Okay, your name and your favorite color. All right, so I want your name and favorite color. So, for example, I want if I was watching the video, I would write down Walter Hale, and then I'd put a dash and I'd write blue, because Mr. Hale's favorite color is blue. That tells me you watched the video and you watched the very, very end. All right, guys, you have a good night, and I will see you all bright and early tomorrow. Okay.